Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 471. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Today is Thursday, the 30th of January.
Payday!
And,
I'm super excited about that.
Wait, I thought tomorrow was payday.
We get paid at midnight today.
Oh, I thought it was the last day of the month.
It drops at midnight, so...
Oh, on the last day. Okay, so, alright, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mississippi teachers at least only get paid once a month.
In this county, yeah.
So...
It saves on payroll costs if they only pay you once a month. So, anyway.
So it's a fun budgeting exercise.
So we get paid on the last working day of the month. So in December, that was like the 20th, maybe? Mm-hmm. So I haven't been paid since the 20th of December.
How does that work in the summer?
In the summer, it's just the last,
day
like,
of the month?
Weekday of the month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When I worked in, fun story, because this is apparently all about my money, when I worked in North Carolina, we did not get paid on months we did not work in the summer.
Did they just average it out over the rest of the...
Over the 10 months.
I mean, I guess that's good, but yeah, that would make budgeting even...
Yeah. But, I mean, I was only making, like, $25,000
also,
a year.
as, like, a, 22-year-old person, you don't know how to budget yet.
No, absolutely not.
So, you're just like, I have money now, so...
It was more like, I have credit cards
now.
Because I was only making, like, $25,000 a year with working, like, tutoring jobs on top of that, so... I was actually making more when I worked at Borders, like, part-time, than I worked after I got my degree was teaching. Because part-time for Borders really was, like, full-time.
Yeah.
Anyway. So ridiculous. We're going to talk about knitting. I'm going to go first because I have only one thing on the needles. And that is Nomi hats. This is an old pattern. It was published in 2004.
Know me like the gnome with the G?
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
So it was published in 2004 by Adrienne of Hello Yarn.
Basilio,
yeah.
Whatever.
And it's got, you knit the hat part and then you knit little wee ear flaps and then you put pom-poms on them. And it's sized to fit. It's larger than like a newborn size. So it's like a 6 to 9 month size. And I'm knitting it out of some super old hand spun that's been in the stash probably almost as long as I've been spinning. I had to hand wind it because it did not want to come off the Swift real well. It was very tangled.
I think it looks great though. Like, it's so fluffy. It's very...
Oh, that's because you can only see what's wound around the outside there.
Okay. Well, I think it looks great. Like, it's
very
like, nice and fluffy, and this thing doesn't...
Someone's gonna remind me of, like... Yeah, you can tell by, like, the plying, how it's pretty loosely plied.
That's not a bad thing, though.
No, not for a baby hat. It's a superwash something. I remember that. This is also before I would label my yarns.
Because you'll just remember what it was. It's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm not going to be spinning that much. Anyway, so it was... I did count the strands, and it's about 100 yards, assuming that I use my skein winder to wind it. We're going to assume that. Like, that's a pretty safe assumption.
Yeah, because how else would you have wound it?
Nitty naughty. But...
Did you have that back then?
I had Mom's, yeah. Oh, I just sold Mom's tools when I lived with her.
Well, I mean, that's smart.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, that is in a Whimsy Stitches bag. And I'm hoping to make some good progress on this tonight. I don't know. I have a baby shower on Tuesday. And I don't know what I'm giving her yet. But I did finish stuff for a baby shower that's not due till April. So,
so you can always swap it out.
I can, but she's having a boy and he's having a girl. And gender doesn't have colors, so it doesn't really matter. But
was
it'll be
that
fun.
The vertebrae? Was that for... Because that's pretty gender neutral.
No, I'll show you what all goes together. I made a little sets because I'm very special.
You are super special.
But yeah, so I'm knitting this. It would be like almost like fall winter hat for that baby, because this baby that the shower is for on Tuesday is due like February 15th.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, fun story. So, 4 of my coworkers are currently expecting babies within this coming school year.
Human babies, right?
Yeah, human babies.
Cool.
Either like their wife or significant other is having them,
right.
or they are having them. Of those 4 people, I taught 3 of them when they were in middle school.
Fun! So you could be like the baby's grandma. Honorary grandma.
So, now one of them was my first year at Horn Lake. Like,
as opposed to the others that were...
like, later on. Like, my 7th year of teaching.
Because you've been teaching, what, 13?
16
oh,
years.
Okay. But I mean here.
Since 2005.
So 14 years. Okay.
Yeah. Well, 15 school years. Like, this is my 15th year at Horn Lake.
I wasn't that far off, damn it.
No, you weren't. And then I taught a year and a half in North Carolina. So, because I went on the 4.5-year plan of college, which is all, I highly recommend it. I did have like 3 majors and a minor, but I highly recommend enjoying college for as long as possible, if you can afford to. That was a very privileged comment, so.
I mean, yeah, Laura is lucky in that her parents put all the kids through undergrad, which was, I mean,
yeah.
they planned for it, they worked for it, and put that money aside, and that's great. But
anyway.
Not everybody can.
Yeah, absolutely. And... yeah, so I'm super old, so I've been teaching a long time.
And this episode is going to be called Honorary Grandma.
Oh. Actually, I have 2 6th graders this year whose mama I taught my first year. So.
I think this is a very fitting title.
They're very sweet. They're twins. They're very sweet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I've knit for a lot of Horn Lake babies over the years, which is cool. It's fun.
Good karma.
Yeah, so this is the only thing I'm working on. It's the only thing I currently have on the needles. I did swatch for something. I'll show you my swatch. It's very exciting. Leslie got to see it yesterday because I made her double count the number of stitches I had. So this is Barocco Vintage in like a reddish with like a black undertone to it. And I have 8 skeins of this in the stash.
Yeah, it's like a lighter Merlot-y color.
And I bought this from Hank of Yarn before they went out of business. I used my employee discount plus the going out of business sale discount. Which is why I have 8, I think. Because usually I have a lot of like skeins of 7 of worsted. So I swatched again for the 4th time for Lilith.
For the same sweater.
For the same sweater. And I almost got gauged this time, but not quite. But I'm going with it.
What's the intended gauge?
Gauge needed is 20 stitches to the inch, and I got 19.
Oh, okay. Well,
I haven't remeasured it since I washed. But I don't think it's going to...
It would have had to shrink, not grow, right? To become 20 stitches.
Yeah.
So
I'll double check that it's still 19, hopefully. I'm just going to go down a size. So the sweater Lilith is by Thea Coleman, and it calls for 4 inches of positive ease. And I was going to knit the 51-inch size, something like that. So I'm just going to knit the 48.
And your true bust, upper bust is what?
47.
Okay.
Well, not upper. Straight across is 47.
What's the upper bust?
I don't know.
We just measured it, but I forgot.
Oh, we measured true bust, I thought.
Yeah, and then I did upper bust.
I wasn't paying attention to the upper bust.
So she just lets people randomly put things around her body. She just doesn't even care. What you need to do? Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
Whatever. So anyway, I'm gonna cast on a 48. I'm so tired today. I'm gonna cast on a 48, and I think so that'll get me. I'm off by 1 stitch per 4 inches. So that would be 12 stitches over the course of the sweater, which would be around 3 inches. So anyway, I think that'll get me the ease that I want. I think it'll be good. So, yeah. This was watched on size 6 needles, flat. I didn't do this one in the round, even though the sweater is kind of in the round. My gauge typically stays the same. And Baroka Vintage is like a wool acrylic blend. I like it. It's super soft.
Yeah, I've used Vintage for a couple things and baby stuff because it's super
yeah, it's great for baby stuff. But yeah. And I'll finally get my red sweater. My red pullover that I want. So yeah, I brought a sock tube to work on if I get to a point in the hat that I can't work on it because I did not bring double points over to do the crown decreases. So we'll see. That is all I'm working on because it is almost the end of the month, which means I try to finish things pre-end of month.
For points and stuff, yeah. Well, and new stuff can be started, but not until the first of the month.
Yep. So it's a good time to...
If you have no idea what we're talking about, it's the Harry Potter Knit and Crochet House Cup that Laura is a part of on Ravelry. It's a way to motivate you to do...
Yeah, and there's different ones.
It's a very goal-driven process.
There's Nerd Wars. There's a bunch of different ones out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of several.
So this past week I've been on call. I just got off call about 8 hours ago. And it wasn't a terrible on-call week. I work in IT support, so it's not like it's a life or death situation. But it's more of a, oh crap, this is down, we're losing money kind of situation. Or we're losing the ability to make money by people booking hotel rooms or doing stuff on the mobile app or whatever the case may be. So I've had worse weeks, but it was a long one. And during that, I don't have a lot of brain power to devote to crafting. Like, it needs to be something simple.
Usually you crochet your hexagon thing.
Yeah.
Or granny
squares. Usually I do. But Laura and I have a sock machine, a crank sock machine.
We share custody.
We do. It's an Erlbacher Gearhart Speedster. It's a red one. And after we first got it and couldn't quite make it work, and then Lady Amy came over for SSK and fixed it. It was a tension problem. Then we cranked like monsters for a while, and I think I cranked a dozen tubes.
I think that's when anyone gets a sock machine, they crank a ton of random tubes on it.
We were just so excited it was working.
Yeah.
We're like, we're going to get all this done.
Before it breaks again.
So when you crank a sock tube, if you just crank it straight and you don't put any kind of hems or anything on it, and you don't have a ribber, because to do ribbing, you have to have a separate attachment to the sock machine.
We don't have one of those.
We don't. And honestly, I had one when I had the Laguerre, and it was just a disaster trying to get it to work. Because, well, at that time I couldn't get the regular
machine
stockinette part to work, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But when you crank a tube,
that's a fish.
This is Take 10 with the Girls from Fishnets. This, I think, was an SSK.
It was
colorway, yeah. So you can either split your yarn for 2 socks and then put like a divider in between.
That's what I try to do.
I don't think I have that on.
And ours has a row counter.
Yeah.
That's what was done with these. So there was a divider. Let's see if you can see the waist yarn on them. So,
yeah, Laura has this horrid orange, very recognizable waist yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
you can see it right here at the top. So you would crank half the skein, and then you would crank on some waist yarn, 10 rows of waist yarn or whatever, so you could go back and take it out later.
And it's got a counter on it. And so I like ribbing on my socks, so this has... These aren't for me, though. They're for Wheezy. This has ribbing in it. So I have a toe, a heel.
Why didn't you talk about these?
Because I haven't worked on them.
Have you showed these before?
Twice.
I never pay attention to what you're showing.
Thank you for paying attention to me. I was working on them for him for Christmas, and then I bought him stuff instead. Because life's too short to stress about Christmas present knitting. And now I'm going to finish them for,
like Father's Day or something.
I was gonna do him and Mom crank socks for watching Pearl.
Yeah, that's true.
So he likes, he's got, I think, size 13 men's feet. Pretty substantial. But he likes, my parents are very much in love with, like, smart wool socks, and he likes the shorter ones. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna rip this back down and do ribbing. The problem with, if you rip down using the yarn that you cranked with, it's going the wrong direction. At least with our machine.
Oh, yeah.
So you get a little hole that you have to then either weave in later, or I pick up a stitch below and then just knit those two together.
Like when you're doing an afterthought heel, you just sort of finagle the stitches to tighten them up.
Yeah, kind of. Yep. But if you are working with something else, like you're adding...
Yeah, if you have a different color of yarn that you're adding, or extra left over from, your...
A cake. Like this, I cranked all but this.
So you could use that and it would be going in the right direction, but...
Yeah, and one thing I like about separating is I just make one big and then I crank like 175 rows. And then I put in the waist yarn to separate them and then like another 175 rows.
I don't remember how many rows I do, so I'm going to have to count after... I made a bunch of socks, which I'll show you in a second.
Yeah.
But I'll count whichever one fits the best and go with that. Because I put heels in varying locations, from about a ½ inch. Like it varied.
I would say if you don't like knitting with a sock blank, like that scrunchie, how it gets like a sock blank when you unwind it.
Yeah, if you pull any of this out to reknit it as ribbing or something, it is crinkly, exactly like you would get from a sock blank, because it's the shape of the knitted stitches. Yeah. So if that irritates you, then you would probably want to do afterthought everything, like doing a ribbing after the fact, doing a afterthought heel and a toe as well. So this is what it looks like if you just do it all in one go, which is what I did. I left a little bit left over for heels and toes.
And you didn't hang hems on this one.
I did not hang hems on this one. So let me show you guys. I don't think I have any more blanks that are... So this is one that I'm working on right now. So this is one that I cranked it all in one go. These are very short. I don't know why I cranked this so short, but I did.
You have some of that yarn still at my house, I think.
Oh, maybe that's why. So this, until yesterday, this was all one piece here. And it was all, like I hadn't hung a hem on it. And this is, a hung hem is basically like a folded brim for a hat. Except if you're doing it while it's on the machine, it's a hung hem because you're pulling the lower layer up onto the current layer and then knitting those two rows together on the machine. I decided to do it after the fact, so I did sort of an after the fact hung hem. So it's like 1.25 inches.
That's probably why they're so short too.
Maybe. I mean, I only lost like
1.25 inches.
Yeah. I mean, from overall, this is a pretty short sock. This is the whole thing. So, comparatively to...
But you haven't put in like 2.5 inches of heels either.
Right. But like, so this is the heel here. This is where the heel is going to go. So the toe will go... this is the toe. I can't think straight. I'm sorry. So the heel will go here. So I'll only have, from here up for the top of the sock. So it'll be a little shorty sock, which is fine because I don't have any of those.
Yeah, that's one thing that come summer months I really want to knit some more like Rose City roller type socks. Yeah. Because I have 3 in my...
Yeah. I would like some shorty socks for the summer, yeah. So... I worked on a lot of heels and toes this week because that was basically all I had the mental brain power to handle. This is a fishnets, but I cannot remember what the colorway is. I want to say After the Storm, but I'm not sure about that. So it's probably with the leftover yarn at Laura's house. So next week I'll see if I can find it. And I'm just using a plain black.
Mom cleaned up all the tags that were there, so good luck.
Oh, did she throw them away?
She created a bag of tags, which I then threw away.
Well, I could just go through fishnets, like the stash, people's stash on Ravelry, and probably find it. Or maybe it's Harlequin.
I feel like that's after this. No, After the Storm was the one that's rainbow.
Yeah, this might be Harlequin.
Sorry, I'm checking my pattern.
So anyway, this is what I'm working on right now. I just started the toe. This is probably what I'll be working on tomorrow during our craft fail along. Well, I'll be working on the craft fail.
I was going to say.
But
don't be stealing my job of doing something else while the fail along's going on.
So this is the waist yarn, this very bright camo orange here. So that's basically all that I'm working on. But I have a lot of finished things. But they're all the same things, so don't get excited.
No, that's still very exciting. Are they all going to be for you, or are they going to various people?
Oh, these are all mine. So I have...
Look at all that. I love how many sock blockers you have, too.
I still have another pair that aren't being used. So I've got 5 pairs of finished socks. I really wanted to try to make it a baker's dozen, but I just didn't have enough time.
That would have been amazing.
So, 5 different pairs, and I've listed the colorways, at least for the main yarn, on the show notes. Our show notes are always found on our website, which is TheKnitGirlls with 3Ls.com. So this is one that I did a folded or a hung hem on the machine.
Yeah.
So these are Desert Vista Dye Works Slumdog Millionaire. And then the heels and toes are Leading Men Fiber Arts in the Perfection colorway. I don't remember which base it is. It was a mini.
A mini is the
yeah.
base. So you can get your heels and toes out of a mini.
Yes. So from the Leading Men Fiber Arts, I think it was 92 or 100 yards, one of the two.
I was seeing if your gray ones were over there too.
So this is pair number 1. Again, this is Slumdog Millionaire. This was a mini skein of Prom Queen, this pink, which I think it was 92 yards, and I was able to get 1.25 inches of ribbing, heels, and toes out of that one mini skein.
And those are knitting left sock blockers, I believe. Yes.
I don't know. Yes, these are. You saw them and bought them for me. I didn't purchase them. So
knitting
I don't
left.
know. So this yarn, the black, is Business Casual by Scrumptious Pearl. That's the black stripe. And then the pink is Prom Queen, again by Leading Men Fiber Arts. They are not sponsoring this particular show, but I had gotten a lot of minis from them in the past couple times I've seen them at shows. And
because you knew you were going to use them for this.
Yeah, for sure. And they have really a great color selection. So that's pair number 2. Pair number 3. I can't remember if I've shown these before. I don't think I have, because I hadn't finished the ribbing for one of them, but
you showed the actual socks, but not the
finished. So this was, I think, year 2 sock blocker for SSK.
Aww. I have those somewhere.
I think
mine still has the sticky
plastic
paper on it.
Yeah.
Plastic guard.
So I don't remember what this red is. I think it was we bought some Miss Babs.
She has mini skein grab bags.
Yeah, so none of the minis are labeled or anything. They're just
random grab
50
bag
or 100 yard little things.
That was 2 years ago. She offered those, I think. Or a year ago, maybe.
But it's a good way to get little bits and bobs and play with color.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're the heels and toes. I have no idea what they were.
Probably yummy 2-ply.
And then the yarn for the main sock, the stripe, is Unique Earth. It's UNEEK URTH. I got this from a local shop in Memphis.
Called Yarnverse.
Yeah, they closed and then reopened under new ownership, and they had these up by the register, and they were displayed really cute. So I actually have 2 pairs of socks out of this. The others I'm working on heels and toes for. I haven't put them in yet. They're over by my computer, so when I have a couple minutes, I'll put in a couple rows. So this is pair number 3. And these I did do, up at the top, I did drop the stitches to create a false ribbing. So I
right.
dropped them, and then on the inside I used a crochet hook and picked up the row to make it look like a ribbing. It was a lot more work than it was worth, to be honest. It would have been faster to just knit ribbing. So, number 4, I've got, these are coloring book yarns in the BMO.
Good luck getting her yarn. It's crazy hard.
This yarn I've had for 2 or 3 years at least. This one I also did a sort of afterthought folded hem on it. Nope, that's not true. I did this folded hem on the machine on this one because it's shorter. The coordinating color is Poison Apple by Leading Men Fiber Arts. So I still have quite a bit of the mini left, probably 30 yards of the mini left, because I didn't do ribbing because it already had the folded hem on there.
You could do socks with one heel in one color and one heel in another color. That'd be fun.
And then my last pair, these are Opal's Cafe something at night. Cafe Terrace at Night. I thought this was the Starry Night colorway, but it wasn't. I went to link it, and that's not the color it was. So these, I did put an afterthought folded hem on it, and an afterthought heel and toe. It's hard to tell because of the patterning in the yarn. These are Opal, and Opal is a great hard-wearing yarn.
I like Opal a lot.
And I still have probably 75 yards left, even after the folded hem. They're a pretty long cuff for me, so they're 5+ inches. Opal is very generous with the yardage that they put into their skeins. So
it would be cool if you had like all of one of their sets to do like a leftover set of socks out of all
like a Franken sock.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So yeah, 5 pairs of socks.
Yay! Your sock drawer is full.
Yeah, if I ever put my socks back in the drawer, it would be.
I'm actually taking my socks out of the drawer right now and not putting them back in because I'm trying to wear all my socks completely all the way through to make sure that they all fit.
They all wear evenly. And...
Well, I just want them to see what fits and what doesn't fit because my foot size has changed in the past couple of years.
Yeah, mine grew about a half size.
As you get older.
Yeah.
Boo.
Yeah.
Or if you're pregnant, I guess it also changes.
Oh, I had a little hole right there I gotta fix.
Uh-oh.
We'll say that is the downside of cranking socks is weaving in all the ends for afterthoughts.
Yeah, that's
heels
true.
and toes. I mean, it doesn't take a long time, but it is kind of demoralizing to spend, 3 hours weaving in ends for multiple pairs of socks. I mean, and it saves you a lot of time with the machine.
Yeah,
but
it does. That's super cute. Good job.
I'm happy. I made a lot of progress on stuff this week, so.
Yeah, that's a lot of socks.
I did do a little bit of my cat couch. This is the the back part that'll go up and then fold over, and then I have to stuff it with foam. I didn't make a ton of progress. It's not very exciting. It is a white tweedy
crochet piece.
Yeah, it's nothing that exciting about it. So there we go.
Alright, I'm going to knit the 6 stitches that I need before I do a decrease.
I want to see this baby set thing that you were talking about.
Well, I have socks first.
Oh, well, I don't care about your socks. I want to see the baby thing.
Okay. Well, I'll lead in with the baby thing. So I finished the baby vertebrae. And this is out of some unknown superwash yarn. And it used almost the entire skein. I think I have like 5 to 6 yards left over. And then, so that's super cute.
Yeah, I like it. Very gender neutral, too.
But I made a little matching beret. This is the Propeller Beret by Woolly Wormhead. And I used the hip strings.
Oh, yeah, one of the
Advent that I just spun. I did change. I didn't do, it has like a little I-cord that you knit at the top, and I didn't read the directions that far. So I've knit it before a couple times, but yeah, so I thought those two went really well together, and I want them to go together, so hence me knitting other baby things this week. But it's good. It's good to knit new baby stuff too. Like, obviously I have 4 showers that I'm going to in this next 3 months, so this baby's actually not due till April, but I'm an overachiever, and it's their first girl, so they're super excited.
It's a very cute set. I feel like you kind of screwed yourself when you started knitting for babies, because now you can't not knit for babies and people not feel snubbed about it.
No, I totally didn't knit for a baby.
Well, that particular baby's mother was not as friendly and kind as she could be.
Well, there's that. It's fine. That took me, but I felt really, really guilty for a long time. And they had the baby shower in my library, which made it during, a work day, which made it super awkward as well, but whatever. So that's my little baby sets. Yeah, we're talking about how I'm a more horrible human being. I also finished the socks. These are, Knit Spin Farm, and, this is her Targhee Sport Weight in Gaudy Day colorway, or something
Wear
gaudy.
something gaudy.
Wear something gaudy day.
My 5 pairs of socks are taking up all the show notes space.
Yeah, I can't see any of my show notes.
I'm moving this.
Because, anyway, these were knit on size 1 Addy Turbo Sock Rocket Squared. I use a 40-inch long needle, and I do magic loop with the majority of my socks. So magic loop is a technique to knit small circumferences with a super long needle. It does affect the lifespan of the needle, I would say, a little bit. I think it shortens it a little bit. But yeah, I got to knit socks on size 1 needle. So these are going to, because they are a bit too long, they're around a woman's size 11. They're going to go to my sister for her birthday, which is February something, 5th or 6th. I can't remember.
I like that you looked at your watch it's
well,
going to tell you.
No, it does. It tells me, look, it tells me upcoming events. It is going to tell me. It says, my next event. Okay.
Groundhog Day.
No, usually it tells me, what I have coming up. Anyway, it does. I think her birthday is the 6th. So I'll send these off, and then I will knit something else for my grandma. Probably some more Knit Spin Farm, because I'm really enjoying knitting with her stuff. Although it is hard to give it away to other people.
Yeah.
And for spinning, let me get out my wee little mini skeins. I have 4 little wee mini skeins. I did Jillian Marino, who's a fabulous spinner. She's got a great book. And if you can ever take a class with her, I highly recommend it. She is doing a sample along, so you take a 4-ounce braided fiber and divide it into 4s, and then spin those 4s in different ways. So the first way you can spin, and I labeled these, because they are so small, I used these wristbands that I have. They're Tyvek wristbands. I bought a whole bunch of them, a pack of 100 on, I think, Amazon for fairly inexpensively, and they've lasted me for years, mainly because I like pretty tags better. But they're perfect for this kind of project where you have multiple things going into one bath, and you really have to tell what's what. So let me start with the beginning. So the first yarn that she has you spin, and she does also discuss, I don't know what happened here. I had to use a nitty knotty is probably what happened here. I used my itty bitty nitty knotty. There we go. She has you do just straight down the braid. So you just go do the colors as they come, both sides, and it creates, and I am going to knit up these samples so you can see how it, the finished yarn it creates, because it's hard to see in a skein.
It really is, because you've got all these 4 laid out, and I'm like, they all look the same to me.
I think the marled one you can definitely tell, but yeah. So this one is just straight down, and this is Moscow Mule. It's a colorway from Into the World. It's really, really pretty, and I spun it in their Superwash Cordale base, which is slowly becoming one of my favorite bases ever. If I can get that, if I have the same colorway in that and Superwash Merino, I definitely want the Superwash Cordale. It's a little bit of a longer lasting wool. Cordale's a little bit longer of a staple length, so it will last a little bit longer. Okay, and this is the second one. The second one is flipped, so you spin the first half straight down, and then on the second half you flip it and go the other direction. So it's got a lot more barber pulling in it, because the colors don't match up as much. And it muddies it a little bit compared to the first one. So it's a little bit more, if you had real bright colors, you would see it like calms it down and muddies it a little bit. And then the third, this is my favorite. See, this one you can definitely tell. Because you can see the fours.
They're all pretty, but...
So on this
I
one...
want to see them swatched.
Okay. On this one, it is, she calls it drafted together. So you divide it in halves, and then I get a thicker weight usually when I draft together. The singles that it creates are marled. And then when you...
So a single ply can have different
two colors
in
together.
the same little section.
And so when you ply them together, there's some instances where there's 4 colors.
All in one little...
All in this 2 ply section.
Yeah.
And because you're drafting 2 pieces of fiber together, for me, I tend to get like a chunkier spin when I do that. It's also a good trick if you are trying, because I have to slow down my feet to match my drafting. It's a great way to, if you want a more subtle color selection. And then, because that is definitely more subtle than these other 2.
I mean, aside from this one, they really look the same to me.
And then the last is fractal. So fractal is when you spin one chunk all the way down, like as it comes, and the other half you split into thirds. And so you get long segments of color with short segments of color matched up. So yeah. It's around 300 total yards all together, like all of them together.
So when you split this, so you used top, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yep. This was a top thing.
When you get top, it's usually one very like thick plot, it's a long string of fiber, right?
Yep.
And you can sort of spread it out and split
yep.
it. Is
so
that
she
how
has
you did it?
Spread it out.
So each of the 4
it.
sections is the same length and ideally the same width.
Yeah, I mean
that
did
it's
not
hard
happen,
to be exact, but yeah.
So you split it in half first, and then you split that half in half again.
So I wonder if you dyed or got a dyed top where there were 4 clear sections. Like, let's say from bottom to top, it was like blue, red, purple, green, like just solid chunks of color.
Yeah.
And then did this experiment, you would be able to more clearly see
maybe
where the color, like how the color play changes.
Yeah. This was a repeating sequence.
Right. I mean, and it's the colors all sort of
if you did like a gradient,
right.
then yeah.
That's what I mean, not quite as smooth as a gradient, but like big chunks of color might be easier to see. Yeah. I mean, for me, because like these are all beautiful, but they all look the same to me. So, but I'm also a lot less scientific about my spinning. I just, whatever I end up with, I'm happy with.
Well, when you swatch them, though, they'll look much different.
Right, and so I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah. I think I'm going to knit little baby hats. I know that's a shocker. So... yeah, well, baby hats are a great way of using... I mean, you can just knit giant flat swatches, which is fun, too. But sometimes I like my swatches to have purpose, and baby hats are a good way of...
But then you'd be giving them away.
Well, not necessarily. I have all the baby knit swatches, the baby hat swatches that I did that one summer where I did like 10 different...
For the different fibers for your class?
No, these were different... I used
it was
that
one pattern
book that you're thinking of the garter ear stitch hats. No, this was all hand spun.
Oh.
And over the course of a summer for a Harry Potter owl, I did like maybe 8 different structures. Like I core spun and then chain plied that core spun and knit that into a hat. I did just plain core spun. I did 4 cable. I did...
So you still have all these?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I used them for my knitting with hand spun class.
I didn't know if you get desperate sometimes for a baby gift and just go raid.
That hasn't happened yet. Usually I can get at least a hat done. Usually I get at least a week notice on a shower, because that's pretty common. But like this one I got a week notice, but I also have stuff in the bin.
Right.
So I try to keep the bin, I didn't decrease. I try to keep the bin pretty well stocked so that I don't run out. But I also keep a selection of picture books for gifting that are also in the bin, which works. You know, I can do a hat and some picture books, and that's a decent, like, I feel like that's a pretty good gift.
I forgot to decrease.
Because I don't knit little sweaters for everyone. Sometimes I just knit a hat and give them, like, a picture book with it or something else. Like, this shower is technically a diaper shower. So, I've already given her a hat. I gave her a hat when I first found out she was pregnant. Excuse me, I need some water. But I haven't, so I probably won't, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I still have, like, 5 days, which is still, like, Tuesday. Still a decent amount of time. So,
can knock something out during the big game.
Yeah, I'm definitely knitting during the Super Bowl, but there's also...
Can't say it, then we have to pay licensing fees.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then,
the big game.
Okay. You're very energetic with that. I didn't know that that was a thing.
Yes, they have trademarked the word.
Oh. So I am going to be watching the Penguins game tomorrow. Well, Saturday probably, because we have the fail along.
Yeah, I was like...
And then Sunday, when we have the other thing, the Penguins are also playing that time.
Vogue. Virtual Knit Night.
Yeah. But that one might be on NBC, so they won't have it on the... I pay for the Penguins app. They won't... Like, when it's on national television, they do, like, a blackout.
Mm.
So, you can view it, like, 48 hours later. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see if it's on the main thing or not. But yeah, I'm gonna watch the Kansas City Chiefs play San Fran.
Who are you rooting for?
Kansas City.
Because you like them, or because we know people there?
Well, I like their coach. He used to be the coach for the Philadelphia Eagles when they went to the Super Bowl back in, like, 2001-ish, maybe? I was in college. Junior year of college. So, 2001 or 2002. So, I like Andy Reid as a coach. I think he's a very smart coach. So, I've liked him for a long time.
Cool.
And they haven't won in 50 years. I don't know that they've been to a Super Bowl in 50 years, actually. So, I like it when different people than the same old, same old.
When it's not always the Patriots.
I mean, there's been other teams that have had dynasties, yeah. But it's nice to see different teams.
I know nothing about football, really.
I mean, the Patriots have been the recent one that's won quite a bit. But, yeah.
Okay. So, as far as what we're reading, I'm still reading the Dowser series. I'm still reading the same book, even, that I was reading last week, because I just have not had time. And I finished listening to The Fourth Innkeeper, which... Sweep of the Blade, I think is what it's called. And then I'm re-listening to a series called Carter and Lovecraft, which is...
Are you not going to do the Christmas Innkeeper?
I probably will, but I wanted... When I'm on call, I like to just re-listen to something so that if I fall asleep while I'm listening to it, I don't have to worry, about missing anything important. I can just go back. But so I'm re-listening to Carter and Lovecraft, which is a contemporary sci-fi. With, like, peppered in bits of Cthulhu-esque, Lovecraftian nods, which is, I'm really interested in that genre, but I don't have a lot of experience, I don't have a lot of background reading those books. So if you have recommendations, I'd love to hear them. I'm not a huge fan of this guy's other series, which is a huge hit. It's Johannes Cabal and the Necromancer. There's like 5 or 6 books in that series. And I listened to the first one and it was fine, but it didn't really do anything for me. But Carter and Lovecraft is kind of similar to the Threshold series. So that's like 14, The Fold, and Dead Moon by Peter Klein. So if you have recommendations in that genre, I'd love to hear them. What have you been reading?
I am still reading Forgotten Girl by India Hill Brown, which kind of reminds me of Wait Till Helen Comes by Mary Downing Hahn. Did you read that when you were growing up? Oh.
My parents were never at home, so there really wasn't a lot of reading in my household.
Okay.
When I was younger, so.
So Wait Till Helen Comes is about a girl who, her mother remarries, and there's like a younger stepsister and then a younger brother, and they move to what used to be a church that's been turned into a house, and there's a graveyard like in the backyard and a pond, and there is a ghost of a little girl named Helen who wreaks havoc on the family. It's a middle grade book, like 4th grade to like 7th grade maybe. And so it's very, like, it's one of my favorite ghost stories. And Forgotten Girl kind of reminds me of that, in that the main character is a female protagonist. And it does kind of switch points of view. And she's got a best friend who's a boy who's recently lost his father. And they go out into the snow to play, even though his grandmother has told them if they go out into the snow, something will come and get them. So they sneak out at night and they go into the woods to play in the snow, because the woods, like, the parents can't see them outside the window if they were to look out a window. And the little girl decides to go deeper into the woods, and she makes a snow angel. And when she makes a snow angel, she sees that it's on top of a gravestone, like a flat gravestone. And there's all these gravestones in this wood. And something has followed her back to the house. And she has a younger sister. That's kind of why it reminds me of Wait Till Helen Comes, who's like, I have a secret, do you want to know it? And she just kind of blows her off, and I'm like, the ghost is the secret! I don't know if it is or not, because I got 10 minutes to read today. But I'm pretty sure the ghost is it. But she's thinking like, oh, she did something with her dolls. That's the secret. Blah, little sisters. So it's good so far. It was in the Scholastic Book Fair, which is how it came to my attention. But also she's going through things at school. She's one of the few non-white children in her school, and so all the white kids get invited to all these things. But somehow her invitations always go missing. Yeah. So it has elements of that as well. I also finished reading a book called The Worst Book Ever, which is hilarious. It's younger. It's probably like 2nd to 4th grade. And it's like if you had a terrible book with typos and misspellings on one page, and on the other page are these little cartoon characters that are like Waldorf and Statler, and being like, as an author, why would you make that word choice? I'm going to count the number of misspellings in this book. Like,
so it's like a Mystery Science Theater 3000
yes,
on a kid's book.
Yes, it's very fun. Like Waldorf and Statler just standing off to the side making comments. Not really, because they're Muppet characters. But yeah, like there's these 3 characters on the opposite page always saying something very funny. In fact, I took a screenshot of the dialogue page because I thought it was hilarious, and I sent it to
that's a great way. I mean, that's an innovative.
Well, it talks about writing craft a lot. So this is one of the terrible pages. So suddenly the monster wanted to eat Barbarat, but Barbarat didn't want him to. I'm going to eat you. No, yes. No, yes. No, yes. Okay, so that's the actual book page. And then on the opposite side, it's this little spider dude, and he's like, what's with this dialogue? It doesn't even add anything to the story. And then there's this little, like, blob, and he's like, suddenly, I don't think the author knows how to create suspense. And then there's this little, like, soot sprite that says, "Suddenly, I'm wondering if anyone is still reading this book." It just makes me laugh.
Yeah, that's a cute.
And I think I read it in, like, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, because the pages are like that. They're very easy to read, but it's also very funny. And it does talk about, like, the craft of writing a lot, which is why I sent it to the thing. It's a cool way
to, like, put that lesson into a kid's head about creating suspense and, like, using
dialogue. Yeah. So that was super cute. And then I read the third book. I've read the first 2 in the series as well, called The Midwinter Witch by Molly Ostertag. This is a graphic novel that it's based around a family of witches. And in this world, if you are a female witch, you can do spells and stuff. And if you're a male witch, you are a shapeshifter. But the main character is a male witch who can do spells. So it discusses gender roles a lot and support. This one specifically, Midwinter Witch, talks about family and the role that family plays in someone's life, or doesn't play in someone's life. But it also has, like, good versus evil aspects a little bit. They're really good graphic novels. So Hidden Witch is in that series, and what's the first one? It's something witch. Anyway, Hidden Witch is the second one. They're by Molly Ostertag, and they're good. And they're very popular in my library, so I snatched this one before
it went out to the children.
Yes. Although the children keep snatching things off my counter before, like, I have like my to-read things.
Librarian's prerogative to read things before you put them out.
Yeah, so...
especially with your reading speed. Like, you can read things... If you're motivated, you can read very quickly.
I try. Yeah, so that's what I've been reading quite a bit. You were talking about the Patreon fail along. We have that tomorrow night at 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to be making little felt things. Like,
so it's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time?
Oh, no, it should be Central.
Okay.
Sorry. When I make notes for work, like, and I had to do on-call notes, everything has to be in Pacific Time, so I have to convert things in my head.
Gotcha.
And so, no, it is 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay. And then the VKN is at noon on Sunday.
Yes. And the big game doesn't start until, like, 6:30. So, you should have plenty of time if you're interested in joining us. For those of you who support us on Patreon, we sincerely thank you.
Yeah.
It helps us be able to, research new stuff and get supplies for fail-alongs and, like...
replace computer aspects, pay for...
up.
Yeah. For hosting of all the things.
Yeah, all the IT related parts of this. So we sincerely appreciate those who do support us. What we're wearing, I'm wearing a granito. This is a Hohi Locatelli pattern. It's sort of a boxy pullover with side pockets that you can't see, but yeah. This was knit out of, I don't remember. Gwen knit it for me. It was one giant skein of like 1,800 yards that I got from Ro when she passed away.
I feel like it was the people who did Baga.
Sanguine Griffin?
Yeah, but the other, when they split.
Like, it was a mill.
I don't know.
I can't
she had a lot of that in the staff.
Yeah, she did. But yeah, I can't remember what this was. And then Laura, what are you wearing?
I am wearing Stevie out of Baroka Remix, which is super comfy, but it's pilling. Like, this is only my second time wearing it. That's not too bad. The side was worse this morning. Yeah, it's pilling a lot, like, in this area. So I'll have to shave it down. It is all, like, recycled fibers. Mm-hmm. That's what Remix is. It's very, like, sweatshirt comfy.
Yeah, that's what I
This is what I wore to work today. I have jeans on because it's Thursday. So, yeah. That is what I am wearing. I wish I had made longer sleeves, maybe, but it's good for work when I constantly push up my sleeves anyways. But it's also 40 degrees here right now, so it's a little bit chilly. That's fun.
Yeah, it is.
Normally I would have gotten changed when I got home from work, but I knew I was coming over here today, so I decided to leave the hand knits on.
Laura found a podcast she likes.
Oh, I do. It's the Best Day Ever Crafting podcast. It's with Harris Knits,
Arthella.
Yes, and Tie-Dye Diva. And they do lots of crafts, not just knitting. I watched the episode before the one that just dropped. The one that just dropped is their Vogue Knitting Live recap, which I can't wait to watch.
Okay.
But they go into, they both are people who use planners and have just started doing the planning aspects. So they go into that. They have acquisitions. They are super cute and super fun.
Yeah, we've known Arthella for years.
Yeah, and both big sweater knitters. They're doing a sweater knit along right now for one of Amy Christopher's patterns, which is really cute. Felix, I think, is the name of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like a bulky one. If I had the yarn in my stash, I would totally participate, but I don't have yarn for that in my because I don't have a lot of bulky.
Yeah.
I have yarn for
I mean, you just knit a bulky.
I did.
Sweater.
And I have bulky yarn for, chunky yarn for Ursa.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it when it comes to chunky. I have some air and weight, but not super chunky. But they've both knit that sweater several times, so they've talked a lot about mods and some other things that they're doing. So yeah, I enjoyed it immensely. So it is a video podcast, and you should totally give it a watch. Things that we have coming up, we have Clothing Conservation Month in April and May leading up to Stash Dash. And the Stash Dash dates are May 22nd, which is my last day of work, through August 22nd, which is not my first day of work, but I wish it was. I go back on August...
1st or 2nd.
3rd, I think, this year. It's the... week after Stitches Midwest, actually, because Stitches Midwest is super early. Usually it's the week before Stitches Midwest, but it's early this year. Yeah, I think that's about it.
I think so too. Yeah, there's some sewing I want to do, so maybe by the next podcast, or maybe the one after that, because we do have 2 live events this weekend, so I won't have a ton of extra time. But there's some sewing I want to do for garments. So maybe I'll have some of that.
That'd be great, because you want to sew some garments to wear this year.
I do.
That was part of one of your goals for the year, correct?
That's correct, yeah. I would like to sew at least 3 garments. They don't have to be anything huge. But, a top or a vest.
Yeah, that's almost like 1 1/4.
A shift. So, yeah. But the hardest part for me is always making decisions on fabric and pattern combinations and all that.
Oh,
so
you've got some fabric here.
I do. And
they do a lot of sewing on that podcast too.
Oh, aren't they?
So, yeah, I think you would really like it.
I'll have to check it out. But yeah, there's one that I want to start with that Casey wore at SSK last year.
Tangerine Designs Casey?
Yes. Zep Head 8, I think, is her Ravelry name, but it was called a Forager vest. And it's very simple, loose.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Yeah,
with all the pockets.
I thought that would be really good for you for work.
Yeah.
Because you usually wear an apron if you don't have pockets.
I wear an apron almost every day.
But this has huge pockets on the side.
Yeah.
And it would be more versatile for going with tops and stuff than probably an apron would be.
I have 3 aprons for work. All my SSK aprons go and live at work, actually. But yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's it. We hope you guys have a lovely weekend, and we will see you again next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.